So guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. In this video, I'm going to be going through e-commerce client metrics. Now, what I mean by e-commerce client metrics is what metrics, meaning numbers, right, do you need to understand and know about your e-commerce client so that you have the best chance of delivering the best results for that said client. Majority of these metrics you really want to know and really understand during the sale, right, during the discovery call, the sales call. And obviously for those of you in the Quantum Leap Ecom Agency program, you know, you want to figure this stuff out in the understanding phase, right? That's why we have that, so we understand if the client is a good fit, because at the end of the day, if these metrics aren't correct, if they're slightly off or they just don't make logical sense, then you do not want to bring the client on board, because it's going to be very hard for you to deliver amazing results for them. You know, my clients who are getting amazing results for, you know, 15, 17 ROAS, those clients, I know their metrics like the back of my hand, and their metrics make sense, which is why I brought them on as a client in the first place. And so in this video, again, I want to go through what those metrics are and what you want them to look like so that you have the best possible chance of delivering the best possible results for your clients. As always, guys, just before we jump into the video, make sure you go ahead, smash the like button down below, and also subscribe to the channel. I'm posting every other day on the channel, completely free, highly valuable content. And also smash the like button because it helps the YouTube algorithm. So first off, I'm going to go through the most obvious ones, right? These are obvious, but I still want to cover them because they're vital that you still understand them, right? So the first things first, and this is something that nobody speaks about, by the way, okay? ROAS and, you know, metrics currently. Let me explain. So ROAS, okay? First of all, ROAS. What ROAS is, okay, is it's a number meaning how much you're making for every dollar you're spending. So if you've got a 3.23 ROAS, that means you've got for every dollar that you're spending, you're making $3.23 back, right? So ROAS, you want that metric to be as high as possible, right? You want it to be $20, 20 ROAS, so you're making $20 back for every dollar, right? Very obvious. What I mean though by when I say you want to understand the metrics that they're currently making, what do I mean by that? Well, when you bring on an e-commerce client, you want to take them from wherever they're at and you want to get them to where they want to go. Now, there's obviously a gap in between. And so the reason I'm explaining this is because sometimes you'll have a client that comes to you, right? So you'll have a client that comes to you and they'll already have a 5, 6, 7 ROAS on their ad account. That is a really, really good ROAS. Now, if you go ahead and sell them, you know, that entire sales call, you'll keep talking about how you're going to increase their ROAS, increase their ROAS, increase their ROAS. That's not going to make the, you know, that's not going to resonate with them as much because they're already getting a good ROAS. So you don't want to be speaking about that. So you need to understand what their ROAS is, and you also need to understand where they want to go. I can almost guarantee you that any client that has a 5, 6, 7, 8 ROAS currently, they don't want to get a higher ROAS. They will want to scale. So what I mean by this is that you want to then pitch the entire, or structure, I should say, the entire sales meeting around increasing spend but maintaining the ROAS, right? Maintaining that 5, 6, 7, 8 ROAS but increasing spend. So you need to understand these metrics because it will help depict how you position your service. How you position your service will help depict whether you get the sale or not, right? So that's something that's really important to understand, okay? That's really, really important that you understand that kind of concept and idea, because if you don't, then you're going to be spinning your wheels on sales meetings because you're just never going to be able to get any sales because you're pitching and you're positioning your service in the wrong way, okay? Now, next, moving on from that, something else that I do want to touch on in terms of whether you'll be able to know if you can actually help a specific client out or not is understand their ROAS, because again, as I say, if they're at a 5, 6, 7, 8 ROAS, they're at 5,000 a day spend, you're probably not going to be able to be of much help, right? However, if they're still at 5, 6, 7, 8 ROAS, right, but they are at a $100 a day spend, you can definitely be of value because you can then take that $100 a day, take it to 2, 3, 4,000 a day, and still maintain that healthy ROAS, and that's where your value comes into play. Perfect example, I've got a client right now who is actually going to sign on literally today or tomorrow. There's just a couple of things that we need to iron out, and basically he's at an 8 ROAS in his ad account. However, he's only at $250 a day spend. So yeah, he's at 8 ROAS and that's amazing, but he's only at $250 a day spend. So look, we're not going to focus on increasing the ROAS because the ROAS is amazing, right? 8 ROAS, really good. Now, if we can get that to 16, then we're going to, but it's not going to be our main focus. Rather, our main focus is going to be to get that $250 a day spend to 3,000 a day, to 4,000 a day, to 5,000 a day spend. That's going to be our sole goal, right? So that's what you want to do. And you want to understand these, again, different metrics because it's going to help you position your service in a certain way that's going to resonate with the client on a deep level, which is going to then motivate them to sign up with you, right? Now, another one of these metrics as well, which is really, really good, is CTR. So if a client's getting a good ROAS, right, they're getting a 2 to 3% ROAS, 2 to 3 ROAS. So it's okay, but it's not the best thing in the world by far. It's definitely not the best, but they're doing okay. However, their unique CTR link click, right, is, say for example, 1.2%, right? 1.2%. If it's 1.2%, then you can definitely be of value once again, because 1.2% unique CTR link click is terrible. Okay, so if you take that to a 2.5-3%, you over doubled it, which doesn't always mean that the entire the rest of the funnel is going to get doubled, but it's going to give you a very, very good chance of increasing that ROAS by not doing anything else other than increase the CTR. Now, the CTR is obviously directly correlated to copy and creative, and that's obviously a topic for another video, but it's a very important metric to understand, and there's a bunch more like it that are very important to understand that's going to actually help you sell, right? A lot of people just look at metrics in terms of like, oh yeah, that's good, that's bad, or yeah, it's good to know this metric because it's going to help me get better results or whatever. But also, by understanding certain metrics is going to help you sell, right? I've actually got another client right now in the pipeline. I pitched at 4.5K a month, and they just cannot break 2 ROAS, right? All the videos on this channel are from real life experience. This is why I'm creating this video for you guys today, because it's, I've literally got a bunch of clients right now where I sold them on leveraging these different metrics. Again, going back to my example, I've got a client in the pipeline right now who cannot get past a 2 ROAS. They're spending around 1,500 a day, not too crazy, but they want to get to around 3 to 5K a day, and they want to break past the 2 ROAS, right? But because I understood their metrics, I understood where they wanted to get to, I could really, really position my service as, the vehicle to get them to where they want to get to, right? Because I kept using the metrics that they told me. Very, very important. Now, something else that I want to speak about is metrics in terms of whether the client's qualified. Okay, so these metrics I spoke about originally, first half of this video, it's about how to sell the client better. But I want to talk about metrics that's going to help you qualify the specific client to see if you can genuinely provide them amazing results. First things first, profit margins. You need to understand the profit margins of your e-commerce brand, or of your e-commerce client, right? On the sales call, you need to understand this, because if their profit margins are off, you're never going to be able to get them amazing results no matter what. I can guarantee you it. So, good profit margins, right? Clients with healthy, good profit margins is above 60%. Anything below 60%, 40 to 60%, I would say is okay, right? Obviously 50 to 60 is okay. 40 to 50, it's okay. You just need to make sure that you know that you can generate them a very high ROAS with that. And anything below 40%, I wouldn't even consider bringing on as a client, because that means that you're going to have to get them a significant ROAS to just break even. And that's not even taking into account your service fee, the ad spend, etc., etc. Well, it does take into account the ad spend, I should say, but it doesn't take into account your service fee, right? All that's going to take into account, meaning break even ROAS, it just means the product cost and the ad spend you've used to get that sale, right? Sometimes, if a client's break even ROAS is like 3, right, which can happen if their profit margins are terrible, meaning below 50%, below 40%. Below 40%, I would say, is not good. I wouldn't bring clients on board for below 40%, right? So depending on where they are below 40%, their break-even ROAS may be like 3.5. So you have to get a 3 to 3.5 ROAS to just break even on the product and the ad spend. That's not taking into account your service fee. So it's going to be even higher with your service fee. You don't want clients like that, because it's going to be very, very hard for you to generate amazing results. You literally have to get them like an 8 ROAS to have an okay ad account, right? To get okay results. So you don't want clients like that. Rather, you want clients like who, their break-even ROAS is like 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, and obviously lower. If it's a 1, then that's amazing. But like I say, you want it to be around a 1.5 range, because then that means if you get a 2.5, a 3 ROAS, it's actually really good. Whereas if the break-even ROAS is like 2, then a 2.5 ROAS is not the best, right? So it's very, very important that you understand that metric, because if you don't, then yeah, put it this way, if you don't understand that metric of where their break-even ROAS is, where they're genuinely being profitable, at what point, because of their profit margins, if you don't understand that metric, then you're basing all of your success off of vanity metrics, which means they're just kind of smoke screens. They're not actually actually true numbers, you know, you're feeding yourself the wrong information, which is obviously never good. You want the true hard code fact. So what I mean by that is, you know, if their break-even ROAS is 3, but you're generating a 3 ROAS in the ad account, it looks like it's pretty good, because look, at the end of the day, a 3 ROAS it's pretty healthy, right? But if their break-even ROAS is 3, then it's terrible, and you're basing your success off of vanity metrics, which is my main point with that. So on the topic of profit margins, and me speaking about how important they are, it's also very important when it comes to ROAS deals. So you guys know that ROAS deals is basically where you get a percentage of the, it's a performance fee. If you do better, if you get a higher ROAS, you get, a percentage of that margin that you generate. And so profit margins are vital to depicting a true ROAS deal that makes sense for both yourself and the client. Here's why. If you've got a client who's got 50% profit margins, if you go then and slap on a 20% ROAS deal for a client like that, it's not going to make sense for the client, and you won't be able to sell them. Again, this kind of ties back in with what I was saying before about understanding metrics to actually increase your sales. And so, as I say, if you pitch a 15% ROAS deal with a client who's got a 40% profit margin, it just doesn't make sense, and they're never going to sign up with you, right, using that. And so you need to understand their profit margin so that you can accurately depict good ROAS deal that, as I say, makes sense for the client and also makes sense for you. And so, in those instances, you want the profit margins to be as high as possible, ideally above 60%. As I say, we really only like to bring clients on board where it is 60% and above. And it's those clients that are mainly e-com clients, obviously, because with info product clients, usually it's like 95% and above, right? Sometimes it's even 100%, but obviously softwares and sometimes there's staff cost and whatnot. It's like 90 to 95% and above. So I hope you found value in this video. I hope it gave you some good insight in terms of understanding metrics, the different types of metrics. You've obviously got other things like AOV and stuff of that nature, which is, it's important that you know, but it's not absolutely vital. The things like profit margins, break-even ROAS, they are mandatory to understand before you bring on a client, because that further not only qualifies the client, but it also helps you increase your sales ability and increase your sales conversion rates, especially also when you understand their metrics that they currently have in terms of what's their current CTR, what's their current ROAS, what are they currently spending. It helps you position your service in a different way that makes sense to them, that motivates them, that strikes a nerve within them, which then motivates them to go ahead and buy your service or sign up or onboard as a client, basically. So as I say, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.